Three, two, one. Hey everyone, Dorit here today, and I have Shannon, and we're going to be discussing how Shannon landed a contract role as a content writer at an edtech company, and then more than doubled her number of tech job interviews and coffee chats. So welcome, Shannon. So excited to have you here.
Hi.
Hi. Excited to have you. So let's kick it off with this. Could you please briefly introduce yourself and tell us a little about what you've been doing in the school system?
Sure. So I have been an educator for 14 years, switched around jobs in different teaching roles, and currently I'm a curriculum specialist for a school district in Washington, which means that I wear many hats. So I am a coach, I train teachers, sometimes I'm a computer systems integrator, sometimes I'm, managing projects and managing teams. And during this remote time, during the pandemic, I've had the opportunity just to learn so many more tech skills, curriculum writing skills, and I really love it, all the new things that I'm learning.
That's so exciting. It's great to hear you've been challenged and excited by all these new things that you've learned during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Great. So how did you always know you wanted to be a teacher?
Not really. I don't think I actually would say I wanted to be a teacher when I was younger, but it was just kind of at the time when I graduated college, a path that I could take. I graduated during the housing bubble time.
Yeah.
And so it was just a clear path I could take. And I've enjoyed the road of, being able to switch around and learn new things. But I have been thinking the past couple of years of just trying out something new, thinking about instructional design, thinking about what skills I like in my current job. And actually, right before the pandemic started, I was thinking, I had just had a baby, and I was thinking, I would love to just have a job where I could work remotely and not commute. And then it happened for me, and I'm still in it.
And have you enjoyed it, being able to work remotely with your child at home?
It's been wonderful. I just get to see him more. I mean, it had its challenges at the beginning, don't get me wrong, just without having childcare, and the beginning part of the pandemic was really hard. My job was really busy as we switched into going remote. But it's been great I feel like I'm just getting more work done being at home. I'm still able to connect with my team virtually, and I don't have to drive an hour every day and waste that time in the car. So I love it, but in the fall, we're going back to being in person, and that's going to be a reality for me again.
Mm-hmm. So, when did you start looking for these instructional design and other kinds of jobs?
I think it was around January when I reached out to you, and I had started doing some just informational interviews with people in my network, building out my network a little bit. And I started looking around then, but I really hadn't narrowed down what I could do remotely.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like, I'm a mom, I was working a lot, and I just needed some help because I couldn't do it on my own. Every time I sat down to work on my resume, I was like, this is too hard. I don't have time. It's not good enough. Mm-hmm. And I felt the same way with pretty much every aspect of the job, looking for a job or narrowing down what kind of job I was looking for. I did enjoy the networking though, because I felt like I was finally meeting some people after being in my house for a while during the pandemic. It was a great way to connect with new people.
Mm-hmm. So you started just networking more on your own in January. And how did you find out about me and my work?
I think I found you on Facebook or LinkedIn when I was building out my network. And I remember reading your tagline and then researching you a little bit. And I was like, well, this can't hurt. This might be a way to get help. And then after speaking with you, I think it was around January or February. It was a really hard time of the school year. I was overwhelmed with the shifting back into hybrid or remote or something. There's been some really busy times. And so I put it off for a little bit, but then we started working together in February, when I felt like I was ready to like dig in and I had some time to put effort and time into this job search. And that's how I found you. And it's been great ever since.
Awesome. And we'll talk more about that. Great. So what would you say piqued your interest the most about me and like caused you to reach out to me?
I really liked that you specifically targeted teachers leaving education, going into tech, because I had been thinking about tech for a while. I've really enjoyed problem solving tech things during this time, because I wouldn't say before that I was a very techie person. I was kind of like I had what's the word, like a fixed mindset about tech problems. And so I really enjoyed it during this time. And then when you kind of advertised moving into tech, and then I learned a little bit more about how you had a cohort of teachers. That part was really important to me because I just wanted to know other people doing this too, making this shift too. And then I think later on, I got to know the other people in the cohort a little bit more, and it's been a great resource. So those are the things that drew me to you: the tech, the getting some help, all the things that you had offered in your package of like, yes, I don't have to do my resume anymore, and just helping me think outside the box. I had never thought about Salesforce before, and I had never thought about some of the different things that we started talking about. And it just like opened up my thinking about what to learn and where to go.
Awesome. I love hearing that. Yeah, what are a few things that we've done together that like really stand out for you?
Well, I think that one of the hardest things actually for me before working with you was having people look at my resume and give me help, because they would always say, I don't really understand what you do in your resume. It doesn't really make sense to me outside of education. And I think you did a really good job drawing out from me what I do actually do, and then putting it into language that the tech world understands. And even getting me, because I didn't realize how many things I do in my job. And I think you did a really good job of getting me to start talking about some of them that I didn't even realize were just not just like tasks that I did, but they actually were meaningful and could relate to a job, like my computer systems work, for example.
Right.
Or project management. I would have never thought to call some of the projects that I do project management. So it just helped me organize my thinking and put my skill sets and things that I did into a way that I could tell a story about myself that wasn't kind of all over the place. Because that was my biggest challenge at the beginning, was my resume and kind of also how I talked about myself in interviews. I was jumping all around and I was very long-winded. So I think you've helped me work on that interviewing part and the resume part so that I can tell about myself. And I've kind of like almost even, you could say, branded myself in the things that I'm really skilled at. Because I think that's a big part for educators leaving education, is we don't even realize how valuable the skills we have are. And you've helped me see that and see how they translate, and kind of helped me feel lifted up in what I do bring to the table. And also, I'm trying to think, we've done so much together.
Yeah.
I just also think it's been really great to have someone that I'm accountable to like
Mhm.
to tell you. I get really excited to tell you about all my interviews that I have and
Totally.
my coffee chats. You've definitely helped me fine tune my coffee chats because I hadn't even thought before when I was doing informational interviews to kind of use it to expand my network and ask for another connection or just really target what I was getting out of that. And I think I've gotten better at that as time has gone on. And I've had some more strategic coffee chats now.
Yeah. Speak a little bit more about that if you can when you say strategic coffee chats.
So in the beginning, let's say around January or December, my LinkedIn network was around maybe 230 people.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend of mine who's a coach told me, you should really get your numbers a little bit higher. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I started working with you, I started to learn some more ways to use LinkedIn as a tool and drive more people to my page so that they were looking at my page. And some of the things were, you know, adding different companies and following different companies and finding people within the Salesforce ecosystem, how to find different people within companies and kind of like who I was going to reach out to and network with and how it would lead to other connections and how to use it to search for jobs and follow up in that way. And now I've got a network of 1,500 people. And
Amazing.
I
Wow.
know
Huge leap.
it was huge.
Incredible.
Yeah. And I'm in some different groups where I've been getting support in other ways. And I started out just reaching out to teachers who had made a transition. But now, I mean, even just yesterday, I had a coffee chat with a vice president of a company
Mm-hmm.
and another CEO of a company the other day who were asking me for my thoughts about education, which was kind of like, whoa, I felt out of my element, you know? And other people, I've been helping other people who are searching for jobs. People have reached out to me. So I feel like I've learned how to use it as a tool, um, how to apply on it with my resume and hear back from companies. I mean, the first time I used my new resume that you created, I think I applied for 2 jobs and I got an interview the next day. So it
Amazing.
was like a 50% increase.
Yeah.
And then the other day I applied for 20 and I think I was talking to you when all these interviews came rolling into my inbox. There were like 4
Yeah.
or 5 that I had, all different titles. So customer success and product specialists and curriculum companies. So I feel like it's working and I'm building some momentum and I'm getting past that first interview, which was a big struggle for me at first because I was all over the place, I think.
Very interesting. So that's a big win. I want to pause there and just say getting past that first interview is a really wonderful thing to have happen and a wonderful skill to be practicing and getting better at, right? Because as we both know, the interviews right now in the tech world, ed tech and beyond, are multiple rounds. And, we first have to get that screener first interview, and then we want to move to the second and the third. So it's really like a series of steps. And, I definitely know that you've been moving on to multiple rounds for multiple interviews. So that's very exciting. That's a big achievement.
Yeah, it's a great achievement. And I even feel when I've been practicing the interviews with some of the people in my cohort, in our cohort,
Yeah.
just like I'm in shock sometimes coming from education when I'm in these interviews and they share the benefits of like stock options and bonuses that are more than my teaching salary a couple years ago. I'm just like floored. And I've gotten past that because I froze up the first time when they were like, "Is this package okay for you?"
And you're like, actually, yes, it is.
Yeah, but someone told me the other day, I had to cancel an interview because the company wasn't growing right now, but they said one of the biggest reasons why they looked at my resume and considered my resume was my LinkedIn profile that we worked on, and also my contract job at Goalbook.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. No, go ahead.
that was that person had a connection with Goalbook, but that ed tech piece has really helped me out, I think, in different ways. But this was the first person, a VP of a company, who was verbalizing that. Like, that was the thing that made you stand out to me.
So that's amazing. Let's pause there. So you did get a role as a contract writer at this edtech company, Goalbook. And so how far into our process working together did that happen, would you say?
Pretty soon. I think we were working together like 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even less.
Mm-hmm.
And you helped me write the cover letter.
Mm-hmm.
I had been reached out to by a recruiter. It was
Mm-hmm.
one of those things. What was happening to me was I would apply to jobs and then months would go by and then I would hear back.
Right.
So I think it was something like that. And I heard back from a recruiter. We worked on the cover letter. We worked on the interview strategy together.
Mm-hmm.
And we debriefed it afterwards because I also had to submit a project to them
Right.
after I had the interview. Yeah. And that was, that part went really well.
Mm-hmm.
And then we talked about, I wanted to apply for a full-time role there. And we
Mm-hmm.
kind of talked about that strategy of applying to multiple roles and working on the projects. And then you convinced me to take the part-time role, even though it wasn't exactly what I was looking for. I really wanted a full-time role, but it's added so much benefit to my search,
Mm-hmm.
just having this contract role that I think I probably spend about 4 hours a week or less. I do it on the weekends sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's actually helped me inform my current job a little bit, just learning about the processes of curriculum writing there.
Yeah.
And
Let's pause here. What is your current job? I'm not sure if you made that clear at the beginning.
so one part of my current job is I write curriculum for my district.
Mm-hmm.
And I've managed a team of teachers building out the content for the curriculum,
Mm-hmm.
and created some processes for that.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've learned at Goalbook is just how to make my processes more efficient, how to have different checks with editors, and they use a really awesome equity tool there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been great learning for me,
Yeah.
and it's been a great team. I have a fabulous editor and team of teachers that I work with, and I've connected with a lot of people at Goalbook on LinkedIn. It's something I can do asynchronously, so I can do it on my own time and turn it in. Um, and I didn't really believe it at first because I looked on Glassdoor and it's like 5-star rating of
Amazing.
their culture. And I was just thinking, like, how can this be true? This is too good to be true, but
Mm-hmm.
it is true. It's a great place to be.
Yeah. What is one thing about the culture that stands out to you about Goalbook that you appreciate?
I think that something I always ask in interviews that I think really I can see it in Goalbook is that I always ask them, what are your opportunities for learning within the company, and how are you actionizing your diversity, equity, and inclusion goals in your company? And I can see that really clearly in Goalbook. In everything that they do with all of their trainings, they're really thinking about student agency, students accessing materials, students seeing themselves in materials. They're putting it into practice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that me personally, I think is really important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've done a lot of amazing work in the DEI world in your current part-time role for your school district. I know it's been a big part of your life,
Mm-hmm.
really a value of yours.
Yeah, it's a big value, and it's really great to see companies and organizations putting it into action, because that's one of the hardest parts I found in my current role. So as a company as a whole, I've just really enjoyed working for Goalbook. And I think it's also, these contract roles are a great way to test out a company culture, and just, get some different experience. Someone actually shared that with me in a coffee chat, that they, as a teacher, have always taken on contract roles within companies that they love. And it's added so much value to their teaching, but also to their resume of just being, that part-time contributor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's so many benefits. You get it on your resume, you get a little cash on the side, you get to grow your skills, you grow your network. Who knows, down the line, it could turn into a full-time role. Like, it just opens doors, and we don't know what they're going to lead to, but we know it's kind of it's a win-win situation. So I love that you learned that in a coffee chat.
Yeah, and a lot of the people that I do work with have risen within the company and stayed there for a while. It offers a lot of flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
And what they told me when I was hired was, because, to be honest, I'm a mom and I'm working a lot, and I wasn't sure if I could take on one more thing. But they shared with me that every time they give you a project, it's a contract, and then you can accept it or deny it. So I've been able to, pick and choose. If it's a busy week for me, I don't have to take on a contract. And if it's not, then I can take on something, which has helped with flexibility.
It sounds it sounds like a very kind and benevolent culture towards working parents who might be employed in other full-time or part-time roles, and that sort of flexibility to choose is great.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that it was a remote first company.
Nice.
So this content department had always been working remotely. So they've really built up systems for that, and built up systems for flexibility.
Right.
To meet everyone's need, not just parents. But as a parent, yeah, that's super important. I'm learning.
Yeah, totally. So companies, you're saying, also have to build up their capacity to be effective remote companies.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think just within your workflow and your processes, and it seems like with Goalbook, they've got that down. I remember when the pandemic started with my job, none of us had ever worked remotely before.
Yeah.
So building up those processes and tools we were using for communication, it was a huge learning curve.
Yeah.
And we've got it now, but at the beginning, it was tough.
Absolutely. And it had to happen so quickly, and so many people were depending on you, and
Yeah, I mean, everybody during the pandemic was going through that learning curve if they hadn't been working remotely before. And I had never worked remotely before. It was a great test for me to see if it was something I had wanted it, after having a child.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a great test for me to realize, oh, I really enjoy this, and I really want to, at this time in my life, have that option to work remotely.
Yeah.
Because it saves me so much time. And I just feel like I get my job done because I know myself. I'm a chit chatter, and I love to chit chat with my coworkers at work. I probably should be, at this point in my life, I'd rather spend time with my baby.
Yeah. That's really sweet. I love that you shared that. And that's true. We don't have to, there's not as much chit chatting by the water cooler, so to speak, when we're working remotely and either have to call someone or G chat or whatever it is.
Yeah, but I mean, you could definitely I definitely do that too when I need it with my team.
Absolutely right. Awesome that you've managed people. So, so let's see. If you if you had to pick one thing that we did together that you found the most helpful, could you pick one thing? Could you narrow that down, or do they feel related?
It all feels related.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but I think the biggest thing probably that's led to an outcome would be my resume,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that it's my first resume was fine. You've even said that too. It was fine.
Yeah, it was fine. It was fine plus, actually. It wasn't just fine. It was good.
Yeah,
Good
it was
plus.
good. But this one is, getting me in the door.
Mm-hmm.
And that's huge,
Mm-hmm.
especially now when, you know, hundreds of people are applying for one job because
Easy.
it's remote easily. And so many teachers are looking to leave. Um, and I feel like, I mean, that's been the biggest thing, but I think you've also helped me just feel more confident and be able to talk about myself and showcase myself, which is kind of a skill that you can't, like that's something you can't really measure, but it's part of the package.
It is something that grows over time with practice, with working together, and you get more confidence because you know more things, you have more language, you have experience doing coffee chats, that leads to more confidence, like same with interviews. So it sounds like, sounds like you've done some of these cold submissions, but you've also had a lot of doors open as a result of coffee chats, right?
Yeah, so I mean, at one point, remember I was
Yes.
sitting on like 7 referrals.
Yes.
Big companies, not
Yes.
just ed tech companies. Um, I connected with people at big tech companies in Seattle and other people all over, and I was just waiting for my resume to be finished before I submitted the link, but then I eventually turned it in. And I've connected with, I think that learning Salesforce has really opened up some doors too, because it's on a lot of the um, job descriptions.
Mhm.
And so I've learned about different, like the mom relaunch, or which is a Salesforce training program, or another one where you kind of start out as a associate and then progress within the internship. I've had a referral for that. And then I've still kind of cast my net a little wide. I'm applying for customer success and content developer and writer and trainer. So we'll see what ends up happening, because I have collected my referrals for all of those roles. And I think as I start to, learn about different ed tech companies, I've been able to make connections with people within those companies that are
Mhm.
pretty pretty open and helpful and willing to help someone out,
Right.
which was a great thing to learn. I'm so glad my first coffee chat with someone before we started working was just such a positive experience. And
Mhm.
along the way, I've had so many positive experiences, and I think you've helped me leverage that into like something else and something more. Because before I was just kind of talking, but I've learned to ask specific things to grow, and more detailed questions, and just kind of expand the possibility of what could be. I never had considered some of these options before that the networking has grown into.
That's wonderful. And you've just gotten better and better at it. You've put in your time. You've really been working so hard while, maintaining your current job at the school district and being a wife and a partner and just a human being. And, so you've done amazing work.
Yeah, thanks. I know it's a lot sometimes. I was also selling my house. But
Lots of big personal projects.
yeah,
Um, You've said a couple times to me, like, I've really liked working together. I've really liked working together. And I've loved hearing that, obviously. And I want to ask you, like, what is it that you've liked about working together?
I think that, well, the first time I met you, I just knew that I just had this feeling that you were just so positive and helpful. And I just love our meetings together. And I know that's not exactly like the thing, but you've helped me so much in from where I was in February into where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's happening. I knew I had this thought like something would happen, but now I feel like it's really happening. Um, and I've just enjoyed our time working on my resume together and talking about different opportunities. And like I said, I love like when I have exciting news to tell you.
It's fun for me too. Trust me. It's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, and then I just love our little group of people that we formed, and everybody helping each other out and learning from each other. I think that's one of the best parts of it is,
Yeah.
knowing other teachers, being able to connect with them, learning from them, and also kind of celebrating their successes together has been awesome.
Yeah.
And I've learned so much from you on just that networking, the resume, the interview, every part of the job process. Also like getting over disappointment sometimes, and persevering because it's really competitive right now.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that your knowledge of teaching
Mm-hmm.
and and tech and all these different industries is invaluable in the process because it's helped us all. I mean, it started out where we were learning Salesforce to go into that role, but
Mm-hmm.
then it's kind of morphed into really personalized coaching,
Right.
um, where we are kind of like setting goals and you're helping us get to these different paths. I know not just me, but everybody in our group.
Yeah.
And I'm still thinking of all the options, but that's been invaluable to me.
Oh, thank you so
And
much.
yeah, of course. And I would recommend you anybody
That
that
is,
I have.
and I appreciate that. Yeah, you've definitely sent some people my way, which I love. So actually, I'm going to ask sort of a few questions around this recommendation sphere. And I know we don't have a lot of time because I know you have an interview in a few minutes. So, um, okay, so since working together, what areas of your professional and or personal lives have improved and by how much?
So I think my personal life has gotten I feel more hopeful and more excited about opportunities. I'm spending my time learning and working on new things for this job search, and I don't feel stuck
Yeah.
in something. Um, Not that I was really stuck, but I was just kind of didn't know all the options.
Mm-hmm.
And my professional life, I feel like, I'm working on a portfolio right now, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on Salesforce, and
Yeah.
I'm working on all these different things. My resume, I'm working on creating training videos. And so I just feel like I'm learning all these different skills
Mm-hmm.
um, that I'm able to apply to my professional life and then my personal portfolio. And that's been pretty, pretty amazing.
You're an incredible learner of a person, you know, which I think is a great counterpart to being a teacher and kind of a necessary counterpart. But you in particular are a voracious learner and open and humble and so many things I really appreciate about you. So
Oh,
glad,
thank you.
yeah, glad to hear these things. So what are your plans for the future?
You know, I don't know exactly where I'll be in 5 years
Mm-hmm.
because my net is wide. I'm going to see what ends up happening with
Yeah.
with my role. But I would love to find something that just kind of gives me more work-life balance and able to just be with my family a bit more and develop my skills. I want to keep developing all these different skills that I've got. So I don't really have like a career in mind. I
Mm-hmm.
just want to keep learning and growing and see where that takes me. And I want to be able to help people like people have helped me along the way. I've started to, but I see some of these people in different industries that are just like really giving back and helping other people. Um, and then who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe I'll end up in ed tech, and um, it would be great to be in a company where I could switch around and learn different parts of the industry, or
Mm-hmm.
even in a tech company where I really enjoy the product and um, have some amazing benefits for my family. Sometimes I'm floored when I hear in the interviews just like how much the bonuses are and how much I don't know, all the other things like the paid time off and the maternity leave.
It's a different
um,
world from teaching, from education.
it's a totally different world, and I just I think it just shows some of those things, the benefits and the learning and what companies put into their employees and into their company show how much they value their employees.
Yeah.
Um, and education has just been really underfunded for a really long time.
Yes.
Um, and it's hard to grow, and move up in your career within education, even though I feel like I have. Um, it's just, it just feels like it's time to
Mm-hmm.
try something new.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so, in terms of deciding to work together, what would you say kicked you over the fence? Was like, okay, yes, I'm going to commit to this on every level.
I actually think talking to some of the other people who were working with you had really convinced me.
Right.
Um, because hearing from other teachers of the value that you had added to their lives really, I mean, I met you and I thought you were fabulous. And I was excited that you were going to help me with all of these things. And I wasn't going to have to like sit down at my computer and cry about my resume anymore. That was a big thing. It was the resume thing.
Yeah.
But then talking with like some of the other people in the cohort, um, it just really made me kind of like shift out of that teacher mindset a little bit that was keeping me stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was a big mindset shift, I think.
Yes, it is a big mindset shift. To go from being kind of like, what can I do, or who will want me, or how will I find the time in my schedule to do this? Is that what you're thinking about?
Yeah, exactly. And also, you know, I've had this like guilt of leaving teaching, and that comes along with it all. And I think like this has been a really positive space,
Mm-hmm.
and with working with you, and an uplifting space and understanding as well, um, where that hasn't really been a factor. And also working with the other people in the cohort, kind of just having everybody lift each other up. It's been a great um, experience.
Yeah, wonderful. Um, would you recommend that others work with me?
Yes, I would. I think everybody should work with you. You won't now have enough time in your day. But I really appreciate your coaching. Just having time one on one to check in with you, that's been a great value of our time together. Um, and working with you over 3 months has been really helpful in just kind of achieving all of our goals. And I would totally recommend anyone to you, and I have.
You have. I love that. Thank you. Do you think there's somebody, a certain type of educator, that is particularly a good fit to come work with me?
I mean, I wouldn't say so because I'm just thinking about like everybody in our group has really diverse skills from each other. I mean, we've got classroom teachers and instructional coaches and counselors and high school and elementary school teachers. I don't think really I think it could work for anybody, even like an administrator, because it's all about knowing that education world and language and then how that translates into the tech world. So I think it could work for any educator.
Excellent. Thank you. And why should somebody listening take action right now and reach out to me?
Because I think that if they don't take action right now, you're going to get very busy and not have time for them.
That'd be a great problem to have.
Well, I mean, this is also a great time to be looking for a job as an educator, right? There's so many companies that, first of all, a lot of us like have this summertime where we feel like we can start looking, which isn't necessarily true, but for some people with contracts, this is the time. And then also, I think just as I've networked and talked with different companies, now is the time where they're thinking about the fall. Yeah. They're hiring for different roles, like in massive waves. They're deciding whether they're going to merge with other companies or keep their small company going, if it's going to be a solution for next year, because who knows what the fall is going to look like, right? Some of these smaller companies that were solutions for remote learning are going to have to change.
Right.
And some other companies are growing massively in an ed tech space. And there's also there's a lot of tech companies hiring right now too. So I think it's just a great time to get started working with you. And the school year is closing out, so people are wrapping up and just the beginning part. I mean, I feel like in our beginning part, we just did we didn't get to the resume work until a little bit after the first couple weeks because I was interviewing. I felt like I was interviewing so much and we were prepping so much time for interviewing that we got to the resume later on, but it was really helpful. And I think that if people start now, they might be able to make a change before the school year starts.
I love all this insight. So what is your number one piece of advice for educators who want to leave teaching?
I think that, that's so hard to narrow it down to just one. I guess just talk to people who've done it, who've gone through it. Maybe you don't know anybody who has, but LinkedIn is a great tool. There's so many people who've made this shift and who have had similar feelings about it, like leaving their students or feeling guilty or whatever it is, like feeling like you're not good enough to do something else. And people have worked through those things and also, found a better balance in the end. So part of it's that emotional thing, but also part of it is like, sometimes the grass is greener on the other side. And you can always go back to teaching if you want to, but you'll never know if you don't try.
Thank you. And where can people find out more about you online? Is there any social media you can share if people want to look you up? That could be other educators, that could be employers who are like, wow, I need to talk to this woman.
Well, I haven't finished my portfolio yet, so not there. It'll be done soon, but definitely on LinkedIn. You can find out about me on LinkedIn. I've been trying to curate content of things I've been working on with my team and doing this year. And you can learn all about me there.
Perfect. So I'll include a link to your LinkedIn profile at the bottom of this interview if people want to check you out there.
Okay.
Sounds great. So thank you so much, Shannon. It's been a joy to talk to you as always. And I love always hearing your perspective and connecting with you and learning from you as well. And, I'm so glad it's been such a positive experience for you.
Me too. I'm so glad that I just called you that day and found you on LinkedIn. It was a wonderful thing.
I agree. Thank you so much. And I look forward to hearing about many more successes from you in the future and fun times. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.